Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sunday Race Club. I'm your host today, as always, so far, Jeff Thorne. 45Ks today for our men. As usual, we're going to have 7 segments overall, 5 of them being 1 kilometer segments, of course, and then the last 2 going into 10 kilometers. Course elevation today, a max of 1,305 meters. This is going to be a really good course for the guys in our group who are really good at climbing, and it's going to be an interesting race, unlike last week's course where it was a little bit flatter. A lot of downhill sections, but here we have a really good incline as we get into the mountains towards the end of today's race. Hope everybody's had a good week and everybody's rested up and ready to go. For our team lineup, UAE clan team, Mr. X100, Pablo Popovich, SS, and Rakada Thebe. And for UAE Falcons, Ahmed Al-Tanaji, Zaid Hamdan, Hassan Al-Ramithi, Yosef Mirza. And for the UAE Road Warriors, we have Abdullah, Ahmed A, Renosh, and Fazal Amin. And for Danish Pavlova, we have Michael Kuhnsen, Jason Osborne, Ollie Jones, Michael Vink, and Yorkshire Pudding Express, Philip Graves, Mitch Ferry, Vitor Meal, and Paul Odlin. And for Team Draft, Sahid, and then we have Ryan Giuliano, Ross Fawcett, and Joshua Aiken. And for Velo Squad, David Milano, Julio Rego, and Maxime Parad. And then moving over to our individual riders today, we have Bashar, Nasir Al Khalifa, Shazad Sawar, Julian van den Brand, Nicholas Spratt, Linus Golk, and John Buttergan. Last week's race was pretty exciting. We were expecting to see Mr. Jason Osborne take the win, as he did the whole Winter Solstice Championship, basically, but he was out-sprinted by Ross Fawcett. Very good performance there. With today being a hilly stage, I really wonder who's it going to come down to. Danish Pavlova have proven themselves to be one of the best climbing teams out there. But of course, we cannot leave out Ross and Philip Graves, Michael Vink, all those guys up there. And of course, the UAE clan team led by Mr. X100. We're going to have to see how they fare. Hopefully they can stick with the front group all the way to the end, just like what we saw last week. It'd be really great for them. But we're just inside 45 seconds to go. I'm going to let the guys get warmed up here. So just inside 5 seconds to go, you can see everybody's watts starting to climb up. Name of the game is to get a really good start off the line. And we can see Yosef is already up into the 500 watts. The pack is off to an already very speedy start, like we've seen in the past. Already approaching over 50 kilometers per hour now for the pack speed. Just only 200 meters in to our overall 45 kilometer stage today. The first 2 segments, we're going to have 1 kilometer segments, of course, but they're going to be relatively flat. So they're going to be a little bit catering to the sprinters of the field. Maybe we'll see Ross Fawcett up in there. He's definitely proved himself to be a sprinter last weekend. Amazing sprint. to take the win away from Jason Osborne there. 1 point, he was over 1,000 watts, which is extremely high. On my best day, I think I can get up into the 700s. We have Mr. X100 on screen here. The UAE clan team, of course, doing what he needs to do so far, sticking with the pack. Don't let them get too far away. So far, nobody's making any crazy breakaways or attacks, really upping the pace of the group. Everybody's sticking together, really nice. But it is pretty early on, so I don't think we would expect to see anything like that. We have these two trying to go off the front, SS with Mitch Ferry. But I think they're just kind of settling in their pace, not doing anything crazy. So segment 1's going to start here at kilometer number 3. So just 1.5 kilometers to go till we start our first segment. Group speed here in the mid 40-kilometer range. Everybody's pushing pretty good pace here, pretty good watts. Everything's looking great. So now just 1K to go to our first segment. Everybody's going up slight incline right now. 3.3 gradient here. Definitely feeling that through the trainers as we speak. Avatars are out of the saddle. I doubt the guys are actually out of the saddle though at home. They're probably hunkering down, just trying to get up and over this crest so they can get to the start of the first segment. We have Yosef on screen now, looking good inside the pack, positioning himself well. We're just about 600 meters to go. We got Osborne up in the front, of course. We kind of know his tactics by now. He's always down to just hang out in the pack and save the legs for the end. Maybe he'll try to pick up a segment or two today. Mr. X100 on screen now. Again, doing what he needs to do, sticking with everybody. As we approach segment number 1, start line here. And through the gate we go for our first segment of the day, 1 kilometer. We're going to see who's going to go off the front. These segments are really short and very fast, and they can really put a hurting on the group. So we'll see who's going to go for it. Just inside 100 meters to go to the finish of segment number 1. Someone's off the front up there. I can't see who it is just yet. We'll have to wait for the timing sheet. It might be Mr. X100. Now everybody's pretty much coming through. UAE Falcons, Hassan, total time of 1 minute and 16 seconds, followed by Team Draft, Joshua. Same time, 1 minute, 16 seconds, only 0.6 seconds back. And number 3, Yorkshire Pudding Express, Mitch Ferry, Jason Osborne, Michael Kunsen rounding out our top 5 for the 1 kilometer jungle sprint there. So good job, Hassan from UAE Falcons. Now the guys will break a little bit before we start segment number 2, coming up at kilometer number 6. It was very close finish there for the UAE Falcon team of Hassan and Joshua. So now the pack speed up into the 50 kilometer range. They're not slowing down at all right now. These guys are really pushing the pace today. Seems like a lot faster race than we saw last weekend. But it's good to see everybody back. Everybody back racing with us this Sunday. These guys are so tightly packed together so far. So out of all 20 riders, we only have 1 rider who split off the back. So really great to see. 5Ks into this race, there hasn't been too much splitting up. There's been no, main A group peloton and then like a second or a B group. Everybody's sticking together. Everybody's had some good recovery time this past week, I'm sure. Getting some good training in. All to put on a really good performance for today's Sunday Race Club. So now we are just 500 meters out from the start of segment number 2 here. Yosef Mirza on screen. Don't know if he's making an attack right now or if he's just trying to bridge himself back up to the group. But we're just going to have to wait and see who's going to go for segment number 2 here. You can see the start line up ahead. The guys are getting ready to roll through the gate here. Just 200 meters to go. So here we go now. Everybody rolling through the line here pretty much together as always. Starting off segment number 2. Up at the front, we do have Mitch Ferry leading out right now, but Osborne is right there with him. Pablo Popovich. With everybody being so tight as always, we'll see a lot of lead changes around today's 45-kilometer segment. Now this man, Jason Osborne, currently doing a super secret training camp on an island in Spain. One of the great things about racing with MyWhoosh and esports in general, you can race from anywhere in the world as long as you have a good Wi-Fi connection. Looks like he does. He's got his trainer with him. Decided to escape the grayness of Germany and pretty much the rest of Europe right now and head over to Spain, which I'm sure a lot of us are quite jealous of. If you're in the EU right now, it is mostly gray weather. Hopefully he can bring over some sunshine for the rest of us. But off the front, Mr. X100 UAE clan team just inside the 200-meter mark to finish off segment number 2. Who's going to make the late break for it? Doesn't look like anyone sprint. Oh, there we go. So far, everybody's coming through now. Segment number 2, again, UAE Falcons Hassan. That's segment number 2 and segment number 1 for the UAE Falcons and Hassan, followed by second place UAE clan team SS and third place Velo Squad with Maxime Perard, individual rider John Bargan, and fifth place, rounding out the top 5, UAE clan team member Mr. X100. So good job, UAE Falcons and Hassan, for taking your second segment of the day. Now looking into coming up to segment number 3, just having a look here at our course, and we're going to start to go downhill slightly. But of course, it could also be a false flat. So the next segments could be even faster than what we've seen so far at the first 2 segments. So segment number 3 coming up, kilometer number 9. We'll go ahead and let the guys get settled in. And I'm going to take a quick water break and come back with you just for the start of segment number 3. So now through the start line for segment number 3, everybody's still nice and together. Looking pretty good. We're a total 9.1 kilometers into today's 45-kilometer race. Mr. X100 on screen, being Mr. Consistent once again, which is kind of the name of the game with our Sunday Race Club. If you want to be at the end, you have to be consistent throughout the whole day and stick with the front group there, which he's doing very well. Something I dream of doing someday myself. So far, not in the cards when you have an 8-month-old son who's teething and not really letting you do anything you want, but that's okay. Looking at the front, we have Mitch Ferry and SS and John Bargan and Jason Osborne all making up a tight little group here. 400 meters to go inside to get to the finish line of segment number 3. SS for the UAE Clan team. Mitch Ferry. We'll see if one of these guys starts to make a break for it now that we are inside 200 meters. Finish line's right there. Some people moving through the pack here. So it's like Maxime off the front and then Tack. We'll see if that's Hassan again. And it is Hassan again. Segment number 3, third segment of the day. He's just racking up all these segments for the UAE Falcons, and his teammate Yosef Mirza in second place, just 1 second behind. Then we have Velo squad rider Maxime Perard, Mitch Ferry from Yorkshire Pudding Express, and Michael Kuhnsen from Danish Pavlova. So it seems like Falcons are on segment hunting quests today. First 3 out of 7 segments. So we'll see if they have, hopefully Hassan is leaving a little bit of gas in the tank for the end of the race today. Going to be anybody's race. We have Mr. X100 going off the front slightly. Again, I think he's just finding a comfortable pace for him. A couple of the Yorkshire Pudding Express guys out front there as well. Mitch and Philip Graves. So now everybody kind of rejoining each other. Segment number 4 is coming up at the 12-kilometer mark, so we're just 1K to go. Today's race seems to be going by pretty fast. Covered basically 12 kilometers inside 16 minutes. And I think that's what we're going to start to see here. Through the next couple stages are going to go pretty quick since we're kind of on a downhill, and we don't start climbing until after segment number 6. We'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds for everybody. Danish Pavlova guys keeping themselves in the pack. They're seasoned vets. They know exactly what they're doing here. Hopefully we can have one of those guys sprinting it out for today's finish. Maybe alongside a Yorkshire Pudding Express teammate or UAE clan team, or maybe Hassan from the UAE Falcons. But if I was a betting man, I think we will see somebody from Danish Pavlova getting across that line first. They do like the mountain stages, and they have all proved themselves to be pretty good climbers. Not to exclude anybody, but that's kind of my prediction as of now. So start line coming up, segment number 4. Looks like rolling through the gate first was Mitch Ferry. And everybody kind of coming through now, bunching back up. Surprised we haven't seen any major like full-on attacks for our segments today. Any like full-on TT maximum efforts like we see some from some of our women's in the women's race. We have a lot of girls that would hang back and just TT the segments just to try to rack up some segment wins. But we really don't have that kind of tactic here. Interesting to see the difference between the men's and the women's. Men's kind of just want to get to the finish line together and have a good race, as to where some of our women want to just take home some money, stamping up some segments. Now 500 meters to go to segment number 4. Approaching 60 kilometers per hour now. But they are on a little downhill. Now they're going to start to come up and over this crest. Should see the watts increase and the speed decrease a little bit. So checkpoint / finish for segment number 4 now in sight. Mr. X100 up there at the front with Mitch Ferry now taking it over. Maxime Perard going on an attack. Mr. X100's answering it. Through the line first goes Mr. X100. Let everybody else roll through and see what segment number 4 says. Man. UAE Falcons again with Hassan. I did not see that attack coming. He won that by 1.023 seconds over Danish Pavlova rider Michael Fink. And third place, Michael's teammate, Michael Kunsen from Denmark. Fourth place, Maxime Perard. And fifth place, UAE clan team, Pablo Popovic. Really hope Hassan is leaving some in the tank for a good overall finish here. Racking up some good points for the UAE Falcons, though, without a doubt. But segment number 5 now on the horizon, coming up in kilometer number 15. Now we have Hassan here on screen. Falling off shortly from the back of the pack, but he'll regain that up. That's no problem. So now just 700 meters to go to the start of segment number 5. It's going to be our last 1 kilometer segment. And of course, we'll keep our eyes on this man, Hassan. He's already putting out pretty good efforts, but that could be just to hang on to the pack. And as you can see here on screen, segment number 5 there, they are going to be going slightly downhill. And then just after segment number 6, they're going to start their climb up and out with a max elevation of 858 meters. Total elevation today, as I said before, 1,305 meters. So very much a climbing race today. Hassan there just 200 meters away from the start, and he's already putting out upwards in the 500 watt range there, but he is going uphill. He needs to hang on to this pack if he does want to have a good overall stage, and they are getting away from him just slightly. They put about 3.5, 4 seconds on him. as the pack now rolls through segment number 5. And Hassan now rolling through as well. Keep an eye on his numbers. See if he's going to go for an attack. Main group there, pulling around 230, 240 watts. Looks like it's starting to increase the speeds a little bit. Hassan, 340, 350 watts. He's trying to grab another segment, it looks like. But I think after this, if he does not bridge that gap up to the front group, he will not be able to hang on for the latter 2 segments, 6 and 7, which are our 10K segments. And he might not have a good overall finish today. But he could also prove me wrong. I'm not the expert on anything here. Just a commentator, observer, man, guy. But we'll see here. 300 meters to go now. SS off the front there with Mitch Ferry on the right side of our screen, swapping it back and forth. Finish line is in the sights here. Doesn't matter who rolls through first, though. It's all about who has the fastest time for our segments. That very well could be Hassan again. He's been putting on pretty good effort during this whole segment. So now through the line, SS with Mitch Ferry, Osborne, all those guys through. We'll wait for Hassan to come through. And we'll go ahead and take a look at our timings and see who got it. For UAE Clan Team, SS. Total time, 1 minute and 13 seconds, followed by teammate Pablo Popovich with just 0.1 seconds back from him. Yorkshire Pudding Express rider, Mitch Ferry. Total time, 1 minute and 13.8. Fourth, individual rider, John Bargan. And fifth, team draft member, Joshua Aiken. So good job, SS. And your teammate there, Pablo Popovich, second place for the UAE Clan Team. So now moving on, we are 16.5 kilometers into today's 45 kilometer stage. And segment number 6 is going to start here at the 19 kilometer mark, and it's going to be our first 10 kilometer stage. Looking back into our group here, everybody's still nicely packed together. We've had a few people drop and fall off the pack, as to be expected, but it's really great that they've hung on all the way almost to the 16 kilometer mark. So as you can see on screen, the race for today, I've already spoken about the elevation many times, so I'm not going to do that. So you can just enjoy the graphic here as we return back to our main pack. Having a look back at Hassan, it looks like he is not going to be able to bridge that gap back to the pack. He is already 1 minute and 19, 1 minute and 20 seconds back. So he was just out for some segments today, and that's totally fine. Hats off to you, sir, for racking up 3 segment wins there. But putting our attention back to the front of this race, Mitch Ferry, Mr. X100 there, Jason Osborne, SS, and Yusuf all together off the front. Yusuf's going for an attack here. 460 watts there. Not sure what that's about. Followed closely behind there with SS. So interesting tactic there. Going up at the front of this race here with Yosef. You know, pretty good effort, but it's only 1 second. And with it not even starting our 6 kilometer or kilometer number 6 coming up here soon. Don't know what that's for. It could be a team tactic to kind of up the pace of the pack here. Getting everybody ready. But it'd be fun to do some after race interviews, maybe in the future of our winners and maybe our top 5 guys, and kind of see what you guys were thinking, how the race went. We're always trying to improve our broadcast here at MyWhoosh, make it more inclusive, make it more fun to watch, more engaging, all that good stuff. So maybe in the future we can develop something along those lines. Mr. X100, Mitch Ferry, Jason Osborne controlling the front of the pack right now. Just 300 meters away now from the start of segment number 6. I highly doubt we'll see any breakaways off the line here. with it being a 10-kilometer stage, I don't think we'll start to see some action until towards the end. But it's now in their sights, and they're going to go ahead and roll through. Everybody's still nicely packed in together. So through the line, segment number 6, 10 kilometers. No crazy action just yet. I'm going to go ahead and take a break and let some of these guys get through segment number 6 and come back with you here in a few kilometers. So now we are 23 kilometers in to segment number 6, our first 10 kilometer stage of the day. Off the front, Rakat Al-Thib so far trying to distance himself a little bit from the pack there. You can see he's put about 1 second. See if he can maintain that gap. Now we have Michael Vink going off the front as well, answering that attack. Going to try to suck him back in to the main pack here. Pavlova guys will not let anybody get too far off the front. They will try to get everybody back. There's about 6Ks to go in this segment here. So far, looking like everybody's having a pretty good race up in this group. Positioning themselves very well, staying nice and tidy. We have the whole Danish Pavlova team there, whole Yorkshire Pudding Express team, which I thought was a pretty funny name last weekend when I read that. Yorkshire Pudding Express doesn't really roll off the tongue that well, but I did some Googling and I found out that last weekend was it like pudding National Pudding Day or something like that in the UK. So maybe that's a little bit of their inspiration. But these guys looking very good, the likes of Mitch Ferry. Mr. X100 now going off the front ever so slightly. Just trying to up the pace here, I think, of the pack. I think everybody's going to start to kind of increase the speeds here. Still a little bit of inclines, some false flats, if you will, not so much hill climbing as of yet. As we really start to roll through segment number 7, that's when the climbing really begins for these guys. But it is about now where they are going to start to hit some elevation. You'll see the watts come up, speed go down, heart rates probably increase. Good place to be in, and right in the middle of that pack, I think. Since drafting is enabled in the Sunday Race Club, you can kind of sit in the pack and get some help there from your fellow riders. I know that's exactly what I'd be doing if I was racing. Just holding on for dear life in the middle of the pack, doing everything I can to stay on. I think it's a very good tactic if you want to save some energy in the legs to have a really good finish. Speeds are starting to slightly increase here for the pack. So now crossing the bridge, and we're going to start approaching segment number 7 here at the 32-kilometer mark. Mr. X100 here, hanging on to the back of the pack. Been doing a good job hanging on there. Same with our overall winner there, John Bargan. He's looking good. He could be in a good spot for an overall finish today. But now the climbing is going to start here soon. And as I said previously, I think that's going to benefit somebody from the Danish Pavlova team. But of course, we'll have to wait and see. Now through the start line of today's final segment, segment number 7, here at kilometer 32. And these guys are going to start climbing out to a pretty high elevation here. Today's course tops out 1,300 meters. Everybody's sticking together. Pretty nice so far. Currently 485 meters above sea level. This man on screen, Jason Osborne, is going to be the one to keep your eyes on today, as well as his teammates, Michael Vink. Maybe we'll see some guys from the Yorkshire Pudding Express up there as well with some UAE clan team members. Could be anybody's race today. We don't know how everybody is, but so far everybody's sticking together really nice, showing that they've been well rested and recovered, and no matter what they've done during the week, they're still putting on a really good effort for today's Sunday Race Club. A lot of green at the front of this race right now. The Yorkshire Pudding Express Club, or team there, excuse me. Again, this is a 10-kilometer stage. I don't think we're going to see anybody really going for the overall segment win here. I think now it's just going to be a race to the finish. We're going to have to see here as they're still climbing up. They're going to go ahead and make a 180-degree turn and start a really brutal climb. Mitch Ferry so far off the front there with Pablo Popovich and Jason Osborne. Don't think this is an attack. I think this is just getting into his pace, into his climbing pace. Michael Kunsen there from Denmark. Now SS. So nobody really going out. As soon as I say that, of course, Josef proves me wrong. So now Josef off the front, 2 seconds behind Pablo Popovich and Jason Osborne. Start to see some strong attacks here. Jason Osborne answering the attack now, over 670 watts there at one point. He's going to go ahead and reel in Josef. And maybe we'll start to see an attack for an overall win this early on from this man, Jason Osborne, but it might be too soon to tell. You might just be getting with him there, not letting him get too far out of his sights. And as the rest of the pack now sucks these two guys back up. So yeah, it would have been really, really early attack there from those two guys. I do think they are capable of doing it, but it could just be a little too soon. currently 580 meters above sea level, 35 kilometers an hour. We're well in the mid 300 watt range. Really great showing from all these guys so far. I think we're going to have a really good end to today's Sunday Race Club. The mountain stages are always the fun stages, I feel. They always provide a good bit of action towards the end of the day. Keep feeling like people are trying to break away and they just can't. This is a hard place to try to make a breakaway, I feel. But I think as we start to go down with some of the falls flats, maybe we'll start to see the pack speed increase there, maybe a little bit more breakaways. But right now, I think everybody's just trying to hang on for dear life. Not let anybody get off the front too far. Just go ahead and sit in and watch these guys get through these mountain segments here. So now just 10Ks to go for our Sunday Race Club here. Everybody's still looking good. Riding very well together. Individual rider up at the front there, John. Great effort from him again this weekend. Awesome to have you back racing with us. Hopefully you can get sucked up by a team maybe in the near future. But so far, great solo efforts from you. Eyes now on Mr. X100, and it's hard to see him in that pack because everybody's super close together right now. They're all looking super good. Everybody's avatars are just kind of crossing over each other because everybody's pretty much on the same exact page when it comes to watts, speed, watts per kilo. Such an equal group of riders here. But of course, there can only be one at the end of today's race. But so far, all these guys are climbing super well. And some of these gradients, some of these inclines, as we saw back there, we got up into the 12 range. May as well feel like you're climbing a wall, especially when you're on a trainer. It's so brutal. And this one here as well. 8.4. There at one point. So brutal on the legs. Mr. X100 there. Amazing efforts from these guys right now. Got a little string of UAE guys there in the front. Little pack of 4. Now we have Yosef going off the front there a little bit. We're going to see who is going to answer that attack. See if he can keep it going. Now we got two guys off the front, Yosef and Rakat Al-Thib. And of course, we have Jason Osborne now moving through the pack. He's going to go ahead and try to reel these guys back in before they get too far. Yosef's already 8 seconds out from this man, Jason Osborne. So Jason has to put on a very strong attack if he wants to reel in Yosef there. Yosef still holding about 400, 500 watts now. He's going for it. This could just be for the segment, though. May not be for the overall. The whole pack still nice and tight together behind this man on our left, Yosef. Yosef's currently put 6 seconds on second place, which is Michael Vink. And the whole pack there, they're all still together. Not really fair to call second place since everybody's still together really tight here. Mr. X100 now leading off that group, which is now technically our chase pack to try to reel in Yusuf there. Still holding a really good gap, about 6 to 7 seconds. It's not really coming down. It's not really growing either. Like I said, this could just be for segment number 7. This is a very, very strong attack from this man right now. He's going to get a little help from the course now. He has a slight downhill. Take a little pressure off the legs, but not much when you're still pumping out 400 and 500 watt range. He's now built that gap up to just about 11 seconds onto this group on our right side of the screen here, our main pack. Eyes on Jason Osborne right now. Very interesting turn of events here, as we're inside 15Ks to go. And as you can tell, I'm terrible at math because it's not 15Ks to go. We're far past that. But I really thought we'd start to see some really major attacks coming from the Danish Pavlova guys answering Yosef. He's already 13 seconds out away from this pack now. I'm guessing they thought it wouldn't last. He wouldn't be able to hold it, but so far he has. He's doing a very good job out there all by himself. So we have Michael Vink now making a break from the pack as well. And that gap to Yosef now is built up to 18 seconds. These guys are all very familiar with this part of the race. They had this segment there in the Winter Solstice Championship, so they all kind of know how to navigate through these climbs. Michael Vink now putting out great effort. Pablo Popovich there. Michael Kuhnsen now trying to get on the back of Michael Vink. These guys are going to have to put out pretty good effort. Michael Vink over 500 watts now. Avatar is extremely out of the saddle. Swapping left to right there, of course. This is not an easy portion of the race to make a breakaway and to maintain it. And Pablo Popovich now trying to bridge himself up to Michael Vink. So now Mr. X100 on screen with the rest of the group. They're going to try to bridge that gap back up to there to Pablo Popovich and Michael Vink. They are currently 4 seconds behind those two guys. So they're going to have to put in some work here. Not let them get too far away. Josef still out front for the segment number 7. Just got 2 kilometers to go. Pretty sure this will be our man winning segment number 7, but we're going to have to see after this segment. Of course, there's still 3Ks to go to the end of today's Sunday Race Club. We can see if he can hold on for another 3Ks at this pace. So Pablo Popovich now on screen right there with Michael Vink. He's trying to make a little breakaway there on Michael from Danish Pavlova. Not going to work, though. Pablo Popovich and Michael Vink working very well together to finish off segment number 7. And Josef here on the left side of our screen now. Just about a kilometer to go to finish off segment number 7. Pretty sure we'll see his name at the top of the charts there. And then these guys, Pablo Popovich and Michael Vink, really battling back and forth together. I think their efforts may be a little too late to try to get to the top of the charts here and take the stage away from Josef here. Of course, we're going to have to go ahead and see. Josef's put on such a good show for us here on segment number 7. And like I said, we'll have to see if he has it in him to get all the way to the end. Once he comes to the line, of course, he'll have 3 kilometers to go until the finish line of today's Sunday Race Club. Mr. X100 now with the main pack. So we've now split into 3 groups, basically, or 1 solo, 2 guys working together, and then the main chase group here. But currently, that group's only about 4 seconds away from Pablo Popovich and Michael Vink, so they might get sucked up here pretty soon. Of course, they have them in their sights. Mr. X100 now putting on a great effort, trying to pull the pack up. Joined there by Sahid and Mr. SS. We got Michael Kunsen there from Denmark. Josef now just 200 meters away. You should start to see the checkpoint here pretty soon. There you can see on the left side of the screen. It's going to go ahead and make a left-hand turn, and you'll come through the finish there for segment number 7. And there he goes, and same for our chase pack here. They're not too far behind. So of course, we see Josef through there. He's the first one, of course. Now comes Pablo Popovich. Michael Vink there. So there's our top 3, top 5. Most everybody's through there. So UAE Falcons, Josef Mirza, followed by UAE Clan Team, Pablo Popovich, and then Danish Pavlova, Michael Vink. Mr. X100 there for UAE Clan Team in 4th place, and individual rider John Bargan. So John's still looking good. Still obviously at the front, joining up with everybody there. So now we have just under 3 kilometers to go until we can finish today's men's race here at the Sunday Race Club. This man on the left side of our screen, Josef, he is not slowing down. He says, I'm going to keep going as far as I can. He's got a pretty good gap. He's still about 13 seconds, 14 seconds ahead of Michael Vink. And then the closest competitor after Michael Vink, Michael Kunsen from Denmark. So Mr. Josef here could very well take the overall win here for today's second edition of our Sunday Race Club. He did beat out Papa Popovich, segment number 7, by about 16 seconds. So that's pretty strong. We're going to have to keep our eyes on this man as well, Michael Vink. He's putting out great efforts now, trying to get closer to Josef. But with a gap of about 18 seconds, that's going to be pretty hard to do with only just under 2 kilometers to go to the finish line. That's have to be a maximum effort. And hopefully Josef slows down, but it does not look like that guy is slowing down at all. Still putting out over 500 watts at some points there. Fully and well in control off the front of this race all by himself. So this race is going totally against what I thought it was going to happen. My predictions have been entirely wrong, and that's okay. That's what makes racing fun. If it's always predictable, it can get a little boring. This is great to have another newbie off the front. And I don't mean newbie as like new to the cycling world, but a different name up here in the overall standings for today. Last weekend, it was Mr. Fawcett, I believe. And this weekend, it looks like it'll be Josef. Michael Vink still putting out great efforts. He's going to try to secure second place. He's got about 7 seconds between him and Sahid. These two guys just putting out great numbers. Josef's heart rate approaching 190s. He's way beyond threshold. I'm sure he's really feeling it now, but he only has 800 meters to go, and he can secure himself the overall victory here at Sunday Race Club. Take home some prize money. And all of that good stuff. Michael Vink now has entered the 800 meters to go section as well. Still looking good, still putting out great numbers, these two guys. Chase group there, Sahid and Vidar from Norway. Working very well together. So Josef now back on screen. Michael Vink there on our right. These two guys, looks like they're going to be securing the first and second positions. Josef now has the finish line in his sights. Coming through the line now, Josef Mirza from the UAE. Congratulations, taking the overall finish, followed by Danish Pavlova rider here, Michael Vink. Michael did a great job bridging that gap back. He really closed it in, as you can see. Ross Fawcett there. Everybody else now approaching the line. Beaters through. And Mr. X100, of course, coming through the line now. Only 130 watts. He's tired, of course, as he should be. So here's our standings. Our unofficial results as of now. UAE Falcon rider Josef Mirza, congratulations. Total time today of 1 hour, 7 minutes, 9 seconds, followed by Danish Pavlova rider Michael Vink and his teammate Michael Kunsen from Denmark, Vidar Meal from Norway for Yorkshire Pudding Express, followed by his teammate Paul Odlin, and our individual rider John Bargan coming in 6th place, and another Yorkshire Express rider Philip Graves, number 7, coming in at number 8. UAE Clan Team Rider SS, 9th Ross Fawcett, and rounding out the top 10, Mr. X100 from the UAE Clan Team. So there you have the results again, everybody. Yosef Mirza takes the overall victory today. Major congratulations from all of us here at MyWhoosh. And just a friendly reminder, guys, as soon as you are logged off, please send us your fit files so you can go ahead and get the process going of confirming all of everybody's results, take home your prize money, and start the new week off right. So now Mitch Ferry coming through the line there. Good job, Mitch, finishing it off. Couple riders still to go. But we'll go ahead and look at next Sunday, or excuse me, the Women's Challenge coming up here within the hour. They're going to have a nice little hilly section at the end today. Total elevation for them is going to be 604 meters. And of course, their distance is 10K shorter than the men's at 35 kilometers. Of course, 7 segments, 5 segments are going to be 1Ks, and our last 2 are going to be 5-kilometer segments. So this is surely to be a good race. All the way through first to the 7th segment there is going to be really fast and speedy for the ladies. And we'll see if we have Melinda Valencia, our segment hunter, who's going to be racking up some segments and taking home a few bucks. So stay tuned. We'll be back in about an hour-ish to start our Women's Challenge. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, do not forget to email us your results right after the race so we can get everything verified. And we hope to see you next week. Take care.